Fair. Ooh, God!
So hi Tinni, thanks for joining me in my first ever video podcast. You know, I never thought na I'd be someone who do this, but you forced me to, joke lang. And
Yes, I
I'm super
forced
excited to be able to have this discussion also with you. And let's see how it goes. You know, a lot of people know how we've known each other for as long as we can remember actually. But I think what I want more people to know about us is also maybe our personal struggles and experiences, how it was like for us growing up, and how that maybe strengthened our friendship through the years.
Yes! We've been friends for how many years? How old are we? 23. Going 23.
Yeah, going then.
Going 23 years, guys. 2 decades.
So, how would you describe our friendship?
I think I would describe our friendship as not the usual setup because I didn't really choose you as my friend. Like, we didn't really have much of a choice because our parents were best friends. So we were born best friends, technically. So it's not really the usual setup like I met you in school or something. Our parents chose the same school for us. So like we were on the same school, not by choice, but because of our parents. So it was really fun because I had a best friend automatically. You're like my sister, technically, you know, so.
Like, I know how I joke with you, for example, na I think if we met in grade school or high school, like we were classmates,
We would never be friends.
Yeah, we would never be friends because we're just so different. As in, you're always like in a different barkada and all of that growing up. But I guess it was just knowing how you were like that little sister na no matter what, I knew you would always be there. So I had kind of like no choice but to accept you and be friends with you, and I guess just love you for who you are. And
Yes.
and that's how
No
I would
choice.
describe our friendship. It was really more of a sisterhood, I think, than a friendship.
Yeah, because like I had to deal with you also. Let's say, for example, you didn't like the things that I like.
How do you think we were different growing up?
Okay, we were different growing up because I guess if you guys watch the Broadway Wicked, we would always joke that I am Glinda and she's Elphaba. So it's technically the same thing. We grew up really opposites. I'm super outgoing. I'm an extrovert. I love taking photos. I love putting on makeup. I love dressing up. And Aina is technically the opposite of everything I said. So we grew up, she's super boyish, I'm super girly, she's really quiet, she's usually the person like just sitting down and listening, observing, and I'm, you know, the life of the party, obviously. So, you know, I don't really know how we ended up being best friends, but you know, I guess it's really just accepting each other for who we are despite our differences that really kept our friendship strong.
Like when I was younger, for example, you were super extroverted and super outgoing, and I was like kind of the nerdy kind of person.
Yeah.
And when you're younger, I think that kind of popularity matters to you a bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so I think growing up, in a way, I think I did feel quite jealous also. Na parang why?
Really?
Parang,
Guys, new discovery. Okay, go.
yeah, like I think about it, I was like, tuloy na ako.
Oh, sorry.
But
Shocked lang ako. Jealous pala siya.
yeah, but like in a lot of ways, you were a lot more popular than me during the time, and I think maybe I was a little superficial then. I didn't know how to maybe best harness my strengths or like what I was good at, and it was great. I think na eventually we were in high school or college. I eventually was able to realize and accept who I was, and I think also being able to do that allowed me to be a better friend for you.
I was jealous in a sense. Sometimes I felt scared that my mom might compare us. Because like, you know, our families are so close. So her mom is like my mom. So I also felt this sort of pressure, I guess, growing up that, oh, Aina's so smart, Aina's academically, like, you were a JE, General Academic Excellence. Basta, you had like really high grades. And then I was just this average, noisy student. And then I wasn't really on the top of our class. And then, you know, I guess I felt that pressure also na parang I wanted to live up to you when it comes to academics. But then, you know, everyone's different. I guess we had different talents in a sense and different strengths. So
So we were talking a lot about our differences like earlier in this conversation. And I'd just like to ask, at what point in our life did you think na you saw past how we were different?
okay, Ayan and I were always on the same school, like ever since we were young. And then I think we separated for a bit when I think parang prep, but that, you know, for the most part we were in the same school. And then come college, we decided to separate ways. I actually think having different colleges helped us. Because we were always together when we were young. We never really experienced having an entirely different crowd. I guess it was sad at first because, you know, I'm not used to not having you around. I'm not used to going to school together, going home together. But it also helped me, I think, get past our differences. I guess it's really just that certain moment in our life when we had space. I guess that space made me miss your presence, and at the same time made me realize that I actually need someone like you in my life instead of seeing you as, oh, Aina doesn't understand me sometimes. But since we're away and I'm so used to having you around and I started missing you, that's when I realized that, oh, life is so much better if I try to understand who you really are and just, you know, love you as my best friend despite our totally opposite personalities. So, you know, I guess it's just that phase in our lives when I didn't see you as often as I used to. That made me get past our differences.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it was college for you, and I think I'd say it was the same for me too. So,
Right?
Yeah. So when I was like,
Yeah.
when we were in grade school and high school, we were always. I mean, we weren't in the same barkada, but we were always
Together,
like in the
always.
same environment or community. And in college, it was the first time that, you know, we didn't see each other every day.
We had different extracurricular activities also.
Yeah. So I think it was there na because you're so distant, and I think I also did see you go through some very difficult moments in your life as well. I think that was the moment na parang, okay, like I have to see past this, like I have to see past our differences, and because I know that I have to be there for you, no matter what.
Well, I'm iiyak.
And I think that was it for me. Like I'm realizing that, okay, you know, maybe we're different in some way or another, but at the end of the day, like I have to be there for you.
Yeah.
So
Why are we crying?
so
Okay.
there. I think that was probably it for me, and I'm really grateful to have like had our experience. I think being apart was in a way kind of made us stronger because that's when we, like what you mentioned earlier, that's when we realized na it's so different pala if you don't see someone every day.
Yeah, and it also because we were older and then we started having more serious problems, I guess. And then we ran to each other for like major problems. I mean, not every problem, but whenever it's like a big problem, like let's say involving family or personal stuff, I would always call Aina. And if I feel really sad and down, like Aina is the first person that I would think of. So I guess it was just natural. Like parang I would call you, I have a problem, maybe personal or family, and then you would always give the best advice because you knew me the best. And you knew me since we were young, so you know Tinni, like the entire Tinni tale. So, you know, if I was a book, you read me like 1,000 times. So you know me so well. And I couldn't find, I guess I also started to appreciate you more because I couldn't find the same relationship we had with anyone I met in college. So when, yun nga, parang, like what I said a while ago, we're like sisters and I always find home in you. So, yeah. We cried, wow! Guys,
Okay.
kasi you will know that it's authentic and genuine conversations. You know.
and we talked a lot about our differences nga earlier. So I just want to change it up a bit and ask, like, in what ways would you say are we similar?
Interesting! How are we similar? I guess Aina and I Super interesting. See, that's how opposite we are. I'm finding it so hard to think of something. Oh, okay. I know what we're similar with. Ayan and I love to travel. I really love traveling. I guess it was because we started traveling at such a young age, and then we even went to camp together. So I think our interest in traveling and adventures grew when we were kids. So parang we had that same interest. At least we had something that kept us together. But what else are we similar, like personality-wise? Oh, Ayan and I think are the same when it comes to like planning our life. Ayan and I are so obsessed about having this, not really schedule, but like Ayan and I always try our best to make a certain timeline for ourselves when it comes to like our goals. Because like I really think that's similar. Because whenever we talk about like our plans in the future, we're like, oh, when I'm like this, I want this to happen, or this is my goal in life. So I guess we're the type of people we're not really that happy-go-lucky. We really try our best to plan ahead. I mean, don't really have to follow to the man, but at least we have an outline with how we want our life to be. So I think that's similar with you and me. Not everyone's like that, right? So, okay. What else? How about you? What other similarities do you have?
Well, I guess top of mind, some of the things that I can think of would be what you shared earlier. No, we're super driven. We're both really driven people, and I think aligned with that, we're also very purposeful. Like we don't just do things just because we have to do it.
True.
We always wanna make sure that what we do matters.
Like we both have an advocacy.
Yeah. So I think that's something that we both have in common. But I guess in terms of like our personality, then talaga. Even what I realized is, even though our methods are very different. So for example, you're very expressive. I'm kind of like the person who wants to keep things to myself. We both genuinely care for people, and I think even though the way of expressing it is different, at the end of the day, we still care for each other, our friends, and people who matter.
That's true. We are alike in a lot of ways. I'm so impressed. But yeah, true. Makes sense. Like, actually, I'm surprised now that we both have our own advocacies. I mean, they're totally different. We want to create value-adding moments in our life. So I guess that keeps us together also.
Yeah.
Like, we always have a strong foundation for what we do, right? Okay.
You know, we talked a lot about how we're different. We covered how we were similar as well. And in what ways would you say that we complement each other?
Okay, despite our petty fights when we were younger, I actually realized now that we're older is that we really complement each other 100%. Like, whenever I'm too noisy, Aina is there to pull me down. Whenever I'm too overwhelmed with my emotions, Aina is there to pull me down. If I'm too OA, Aina is there to pull me down. If Aina is too boring, I am there to help her. Fun. If Aina looks too dry, no makeup, so pale, I'm there to doll her up. If Aina needs fashion advice, I'm here for her. So, you know what? Honestly now, even if you're the total opposite of me, I actually see that as a good thing. Because I get to see a different view of things. Like, let's say for example, because I know we have different personalities. So if something happens to me, something bad happens to me, and I need advice, I go to you so that I get another perspective of things. So I guess, in a sense, I would say that instead of drowning myself into our differences, I use our differences as a tool to help me understand things better.
But I think like one thing that would be good to highlight also was a lot of that kind of took time. It wasn't like the moment you were born or when you were kids or when you were high school. It was automatically na we were the best of friends. In fact, parang it wasn't like that. It really took a lot of time for us to get to know each other and find those like places where we can complement each other.
Yeah.
That eventually we were able to, work things out and stay good friends.
Yeah.
And with that, like I just wanted to ask also, what are your thoughts about being friends with other people who have different viewpoints from you, because especially like now in this time and age, everyone is so polarized, and everybody just wants to bring each other down. And
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
I guess it's always learning the art of compromising or learning the art of finding a middle ground. I honestly think that there's no perfect friend for you, or there's no parang most compatible person for you. I think it really lies between understanding that person, choosing to understand that person. And that's when you get to realize, oh, even if we're so different, you help me see things in a different perspective. And because of you, I get to learn how to deal with things the right way. Because, I get different viewpoints, and then I get different viewpoints and opinions that help me make better decisions. I think for me, there's no perfect friend for you or like a more compatible personality for you. It's really more of like learning how to deal with the person, understanding the person, finding a middle ground, finding a compromise with anyone. You can be really close to anyone if you learn how to understand the person instead of understanding your differences instead of like dwelling into your differences. So I think instead of seeing your differences as a bad thing, it's good to like shift your perspective and see your differences as a good thing, because through your differences, you can see different viewpoints and different opinions that can help you make a better decision. So that's my thoughts on like different viewpoints.
Yeah, I really do agree. I think like the issue now is the moment that like a different opinion comes up, we're so quick to just like attack the person.
Yeah.
When I think maybe even though the person is wrong, or the person might say something that's very, very different, we always have to start with like a foundation of trust.
Yeah.
Like if you build that rapport with somebody and you know that that person has a story or a reason why she thinks that way, like you can't just say that someone has an opinion, right? Because of this, like because of that. I'm sure it must have affected that person through the person's education, through how the person grew up, who the person was surrounded with, the person's childhood, and all of those things. So I think the first step is really trying to, what you said earlier, like understand the person, build that sense of trust. And it's only when you have that trust with that person that maybe you guys can educate each other, try to have that dialogue or that healthy conversation, so that you can talk about your differences or maybe even your different viewpoints, and hopefully that will like make things a lot better in the future.
Like learn from your differences. I think it's also important to always think of how you deliver your opinions and how you deliver your different viewpoints to someone of another opinion. You get what I mean? Like you have to be at least respectful of that person. So even if you want to say a different opinion, it's important to say the opinion nicely. Because I think if you say like you have a different opinion about something, right, and then you approach it in like a bad manner, attack the person, I think that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to like give your opinion to someone, you have to be nice about it at least, or respectful naman with like the words you use.
Yeah, and at the root of it, it's really also trying to understand the person so that you can best deliver your thought on it. And from there, maybe just like have an open mind and open conversation and try to see where that will bring you.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is, so how can friends, or like how can people become friends with others who seem different from them?
I guess it's being open-minded about diversity. This involves a lot of things, like not just personalities, but being open-minded with like different personalities, different cultures, and different nationalities even. Just be open to like meeting people, even if they're the total opposite of you are, or even if they're from a certain culture that you aren't that really educated of. So yeah, I really just think it's trying your best to be more approachable, and also trying your best to be nicer towards everyone you meet, so that that person can also open up to you as well. Because you can't really be friends with someone if you don't allow the person to be comfortable with your energy, I guess. Like, you can't really be close to someone if you seem like you want to shrug that person off. So you have to also be, in a light and approachable mood. I think that helps, like, even if, what do you think? How about you?
But I guess, what you said earlier, it's really number one, having an open mind. I love being with people who seem that they're very different, because it's through having a real and having a authentic conversation, a genuine conversation with them, that you realize that there are a lot of differences with how you approach things, how you see things, your background, your family, and like where you've been, what school you came from, and all of that. But at the root of it, like, you all just go through the same things.
Yeah.
I think that's like the greatest thing I realized about being friends with people who are different. At the end of the day, we're all in this same journey. We all go through the same problems, in different contexts, in different stories, but the feeling is all there. In a way, like, we know how a certain thing feels, and I think it's really good to celebrate that, because we always just talk about like how we're different from each other, when in fact, in many ways, I think we're more similar.
Yeah, because we all go through the same things. We're all humans. We all feel the same emotions: anger, sadness, happiness.
Yeah.
All these things. So yeah, I think it's just like what you said. It's also good to always look back to the root of everything. Sometimes we may have different ways of approaching things, but at the end of the day, we all have the same intentions. So I think that's important also. Like me and Aina, we really care for people and we want to help people. So we have the same intention, but we have different ways of approaching that advocacy. Thank you! Anyway guys, really thank you so much. Please watch out for more videos from Aina. Ako na mag-i-introduce sa kanya, because obviously, we're really different people.